All right, welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're doing something a little different. We're going to do a serious, data-driven deep dive into a conflict that plays out in backyards all over the world, the age-old battle of dog versus squirrel. And for this, we're relying on some incredible field research from the operatives at the Barkcast, who've given us some real firsthand testimony from the front lines. And this right here, this quote from field operative Luna is really the core idea of our whole investigation. This one sentence changes everything. See, it suggests this isn't just some fun game of chase. No, this is a fundamental dispute over territory. This is about who really, truly owns the yard. Okay, so to really get what's going on here, we have to understand the combatants. And we're going to start our analysis with the antagonist, a creature our sources described with, let's say, a mix of total frustration and maybe some grudging respect. Let's talk about the backyard ninja. So our field reports have painted a really clear picture. The subject, the squirrel, is consistently described as bold. It just operates with this total disregard for any established canine territory. And we've got multiple reports of mocking behavior, which tells you there's a psychological game being played here. Its main defense? A masterful use of vertical escape. And honestly, based on its pure agility and elusiveness, yeah, it's widely suspected of having some pretty advanced ninja training. This right here, this piece of testimony from Operative Buddy is just fascinating. He's not just seeing movement, he's interpreting intent. That twitching tail is seen as a direct taunt, an act of psychological warfare. It just confirms that this fight is happening on both a physical and a mental battlefield. So all this psychological tension, it always builds to the main event. So now, let's break down what actually happens during the chase itself. And you might think it's just a chaotic scramble, but our sources show it's actually a pretty structured series of events. We can even lay it out like a formal protocol. The whole thing unfolds in 4 very distinct steps. Okay, step 1, the sighting. This is usually started by the squirrel taking some kind of provocative stance. Step 2 is the launch, where the canine operative, and I quote, becomes lightning in fur. This is immediately followed by step 3, the escape, where the squirrel uses its biggest advantage, climbing straight up, which pretty much every time leads to step 4, stalemate. And this repeated outcome, the stalemate, it brings us to the biggest strategic question in this whole phenomenon. When you look at the tactical reality of it all, you have to ask, is this game even winnable? It's time for a little tactical analysis. And here it is. This is the core research question, posed directly by the experts in the field. It's so simple, but it's also incredibly profound, right? It just cuts straight to the heart of the whole thing. The fact that the answer is so rarely yes suggests there's a fundamental, maybe even an insurmountable imbalance in this whole conflict. The mismatch in tactics becomes so clear when you put them side by side. Canine tactics, they're mostly about ground-based speed, sprinting and leaping. We do see some evidence of tactical innovation, which we'll get to in a second. But all of this is consistently beaten by the squirrel's superior strategy, vertical escape, and those demoralizing psychological taunts. And this quote from Luna, this is a perfect case study in that tactical innovation I just mentioned. Her attempt to climb a tree, well, the human observers called it embarrassing. But from her point of view, it was a totally rational attempt to take away the squirrel's main advantage. It was a bold, out-of-the-box strategic move. It shows a willingness to adapt, even if, it didn't quite work out. Okay, so while the main investigation was all about the dog versus squirrel conflict, the field data actually gave us some other really fascinating findings about the whole canine experience. So we're going to quickly go over some of this other important data. First up, we've got some hard numbers from the Chew of the Week segment. The item under review, a peanut butter flavored bone. The field notes here, delicious, sticky, worth rolling on, they give us some really crucial context for the final definitive rating, which was 5 barks out of 5. That's a complete consensus from the expert reviewers. I mean, 5 out of 5. You really can't argue with that data. It's an unambiguous result. And of course, good research always just leads to more questions. The experts at the Barkcast have already figured out their next big investigation, the great mystery of where socks disappear to, and they've even hinted that co-host Luna might be a key person of interest in that ongoing inquiry. So, after digging through all this data, what's the big takeaway here? Well, the experts have concluded that maybe we've all been asking the wrong question. Maybe it's not about winning or losing. The evidence seems to suggest that the real point of the chase is the pursuit itself, the thrill, the engagement, the pure, unfiltered excitement of the game. So we're going to leave you with this final thought from the field. It's kind of a mission statement from the hosts of the Barcast, and it just perfectly sums up their whole philosophy. The goal isn't to catch the squirrel, but to live a life that's full of exciting pursuits. It really makes you think, doesn't it? What other unwinnable games in life are actually just about the thrill of the chase?